Well, I always love it, getting a new script. I mean, that's what I'll miss, not getting the script, because I always like hard copy. I can't read it on my laptop or
me
anything like
neither.
that. I like the physical script in my hands, and then I go to some relaxing place, a sofa, or I might take it up to lie in bed, and a cup of tea, and then I start on page 1, and I go through right to the end, and I love it. And it was great.
Yeah.
Oh my, there's all life is there in that first episode. Yes.
I think it's great to read it right from the beginning to the end with no interruption, because it is like it's storytelling. So
It's like a mini novel.
It is. So you sort of read it, and knowing this would be the last series, it sort of kicks it off in a wonderful way.
Well, if I say more of the same, that's not meant in a derogatory way.
No. And
Life
also-
carries on, like
Yes,
you say.
it does. And people's lives carry on. I mean, people move with the times. So that doesn't mean to say there's an ending or that life just finishes. There's a sort of, it's a protracted time. People get used to new ways of being. And that's assimilated into their lives. And I think that is what Julian has done enormously well.
Yes,
Don't you?
definitely. Yeah.
I can't tell you a thing because it would absolutely ruin the story for you. But all I can say is that it's quite a roller coaster, not just for my character, which it certainly is, but for many characters.
For many
wouldn't you say?
characters. And as far as Mrs.
Very unexpected.
Yes, very unexpected in a lot of areas. And as far as Mrs. Hughes is concerned, well, things sort of get resolved, not necessarily in the way you might expect or like, but there's an acceptance of things as the way they are. That's all I can say. If we did have a theory, we'd be writing something like that ourselves.
We would be
wouldn't we?
millionaires, let's face it. I think mostly it's because it's first of all, it's wonderful storytelling. It's page turner, like you
Really?
said when Phyllis was describing reading the script. You want to know what's going to happen next, and that is universal good storytelling. I then think probably, these are all things that you think, you don't know for sure, but the setting of it, the period, the time that it covers was a very interesting period, and a lot happened in the short time from 1912 to 1926. There was a world war, there was women's emancipation, there was the flu epidemic, there was women getting the vote, there was everything. So it was an extremely interesting thing, which historically pushes the story forward, and historically changes, particularly women, how they work, how they react, education, what they dress, how they behave.
Oh yes, and also it was in many ways it was a simpler time. I mean, nowadays, it's all fast and furious, but they were at much steadier pace, and people didn't have their emotions on their sleeves the whole time. So there was a bit more subtlety about it, and I think people enjoy seeing that sort of trussed up, because that's very much what it was. You range yourself in, and it's nice for us to play that sort of thing where you don't just let it all hang out, as it were. You've got to keep a bit of reserve, and I think people appreciate that more than just everything all splodged out in front of you.
Well, you had a very difficult last day.
Well, we did. We were in the servants' hall, and several of us wrapped up at the same time, and the nature of the scene was quite emotional anyway. Some of our crew members were very upset to say goodbye to us, and one of our number was even welling up during an actual take. when the camera wasn't on, that particular person. And then afterwards, I sort of mooched around the set on my own after everybody had cleared off, and I got changed, and I went and had a mooch around the kitchen and the servants' hall and my little pantry and Mr. Carson's place, and it was all dark and about to be torn down.
Yes. And I was there yesterday, which was
That
the
was
day
your
after,
last day, yes.
and it had been torn down. So there was this shell of a place and just a corridor. Yes, I was in a hospital corridor I was filming yesterday. And everything around
Ealing.
me at Ealing, and everything around had gone. It shows the transience of the magic that's created. And when the lights go out, they really go out. There's an empty void there. It was quite hard.
Tears, lots of tears. Mrs. Patmore and Daisy and myself had a group hug as we wept copiously in each other's necks. We did. Well, I thought at the time, this is probably, I didn't know it was going to be so globally acknowledged, but when I read the script and I knew who was going to be in it, well, some of the people that were going to be, I thought this should be quite good, actually. You know, never thinking that it would become what it was. But I had high hopes for it in a very small way, but it's transcended anything, any of us. It's just rocketed into the stratosphere for all of us.
Oh, it has. And I think, funnily enough, as Julian said, you know, they didn't know this sort of, people weren't watching this. And what one thing of the many things that Downton has done is given other people courage to do more drama, like not Downton Abbey, but other drama. Because actually television was becoming very reality-based, and which is much cheaper. And they could see that if you get it right, it's more expensive, but you can tell great stories, and people want to watch great stories. So the more that goes on, hooray, because that means there'll be more work for us.
Yes, after Downton. There will be life after Downton.
There'll be life after Downton. I think this is that I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that Downton has done its bit for rekindling all that, because there used to be, when I was young, when you were young probably, there were a lot more series on the television where people got involved with the characters, and there was Trollope, all sorts of people were done on the television.
It has inspired people to think,
it really
well,
has. So,
Julian's done this, let's have a go ourselves.
Yeah, and it's not just police things, it's people that involve a whole strata of ages, of society, of everything. It's not just appealing to one group, it's appealing to a big diaspora. And that is a people watching television together again, which is a wonderful thing, to sit down on a Sunday evening and watch a show. People have parties.
We used to do it all the time.
All
Yes,
the time.
in America they get all dressed up. I've got a friend over there who get all the neighbours get dressed up and watch the show as it goes out live over there. Dressed up, it's great.
It's a bit of a party.